Hello and welcome to another episode of the Daily Remedy video. Today we're going to discuss something that's a growing trend, but not quite as big as it will be in the years to come, and that is infographics in healthcare. We see them everywhere, but we don't quite appreciate the full extent of what infographics mean in terms of how we're going to obtain medical information in the future for both patients and for those in the healthcare community alike. Let's start with the basic definition. What is an infographic? And to help us answer these fundamental questions, we're going to use this clinical study called Infographics, Healthcare Communication for the Digital Age. It is available on PubMed, and the lead author is McCrory. They describe infographics as an innovative and engaging method of visually communicating information in a colorful and concise manner. If you take a look, they provide two examples of healthcare informatics. The first one is of blood pressure. They provide blood pressure readings in three different colors. Familiar colors that we see on the street lights across the country: red, yellow, and green. They do that because they create color associations with risk of blood pressure levels. The figure citation even says, traffic light infographics adapted with permission from ARCIA, designed to communicate blood pressure readings using a metaphor most members of the public will be familiar with. Attributing the citation aside, the most important concept that we have to take away is that, and I quote, most members of the public will be familiar with, and going back to the beginning, traffic light. Infographics do something that most in the healthcare community struggle to do, and that's create a sense of familiarity with complex healthcare concepts. If you look on the right side, there's another figure, figure 3. Isotype array infographics communicate part-to-whole relationship between positive and negative outcomes and may be suited to visualize dichotomous information such as risk-reward ratio of statin use. Now, if you look at that ratio right there, you'll clearly see 1, 2, 3, 4 lines in which all have no side effect. And then the bottom line in which half have no side effects and half have side effects. What that allows you to do is to appreciate the distinction between a side effect and not, and to see in this graph 90% of women were side effect free after treatment. That visual graph gives you an appreciation for just what that 90% means, which goes far beyond just what a data point can provide. This is the power of informatics, something that federal agencies like the AHRQ is already picking up on. They have an entire database on research data infographics, in which they will take common data, common conditions, and extrapolate that information into an infographic that would then allow the public to visualize common known facts in visual forms. Let's take one for example. In 2022, the AHRQ compiled data on state variations in inpatient stay for substance use disorders. When you select this infographic, what you see is very interesting. You see a simple 4x4, now I know it's not 4x4, but just bear with me, a 4x4 table. Now you may think, well, all I see is 1, 2, 3, 4, so that must be 2x2. No, the proper way to visualize this infographic is to look at everything that you see, both the labels and the numbers, and of course, the visuals. All of that together compiles an image, an impression in the mind of the viewer that impacts how they internalize that data. So what you see on the left-hand side are alcohol-related disorders, opioid-related disorders, the incidence per 100,000, and on the right side you see alcohol glasses and opioid prescription pills, presumably prescribed pills and not illicitly obtained pills. What that shows visually is alcohol related to the disorders and the incidences with the minimum and the maximum together. Now, just look at the graph itself, if you were to take away the visuals, you would simply see numbers with alcohol-related disorders, numbers with opioid-related disorders as labels, and that's it. The visual gives a context to then appreciate the numbers that you see. And that's really the benefit of infographics. What infographics allow you to do is to really look at the next level of information based on the overall impression that you want to create. Now, geographic variations in inpatient stays for 5 leading substance use disorders. Now, look at this graph here, variation state by state. This is commonly known as a cat and whisker graph, really where you have the mean, median, mode incidence, upper quartile, lower quartiles with the outliers and the extremes listed here. This does not convey the impression that you would see in the previous infographic because it's lacking the visual. And that visual is critical in understanding how people will derive impressions from these clinical images. And again, the purpose of these infographics are to streamline information absorption, information retention, and the overall impression gleaned from that information. That is the power of infographics. And as we approach the coming years, and as social media continues to play an important role in how both patients and providers alike consume healthcare information, the infographic will become more and more important in determining how we understand that information. And with that, I thank you for your time. Have a good day.